Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jody Rabarchak, President of Tri-County Federation of Democratic Women. Our mission is to promote the fundamental principles of the Democratic Party, to promote and encourage the active participation and election of Democratic women in all levels of government, and to help further the education and advancement of Democratic women in both the public and private sectors. We primarily serve Dauphin, Cumberland, and Perry counties. So thanks to all of you for spending some time with us this evening. We're honored to have over 20 female Democratic candidates in attendance at our candidates forum this evening. Before we begin, I'll go over a few housekeeping details. We ask that all participants remain on mute until it is their time to speak. Each candidate for statewide office will have 5 minutes to introduce themselves and speak about their campaigns. All other candidates will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and speak about their campaigns. We currently have over 20 candidates signed up to participate in the forum. So given the large number of participants, we will strictly adhere to the time limits. Please do not be offended if you're asked to conclude your remarks when your allotted time has expired. Unfortunately, we will not have time for a Q&A. All candidates should limit their remarks to your candidacy and refrain from making any remarks about any other candidates, as there is not sufficient time for rebuttals. Please note that Tri-County Federation of Democratic Women does not endorse candidates in the primary election. Okay, that said, we'll begin with candidates for statewide office, followed by Cumberland County candidates and Dauphin County candidates ordered by office, then alphabetically by last name. At this time, we'll begin with our first statewide candidate, Jill Beck. Jill is a candidate for Judge of the PA Superior Court. So Jill, if you'd like to take yourself off mute and you can begin.
Very much, Jody, and thank you to all of you for having me here today. It is my pleasure to be with you. My name is Jill Beck. I am from Allegheny County, and I am running for statewide Superior Court. The Superior Court is the Court of Appeals for criminal, civil, family, juvenile, and orphans court matters. Those are all areas where I have tried cases and practiced as an attorney. I've largely dedicated my career to public service, representing child abuse victims, victims of domestic violence, helping to protect our elections and our vote, helping people experiencing housing insecurity through the COVID crisis, and generally helping people without money get the same rights and protections as people who do. I've done that in the criminal side and on the civil side. I've done that in trial courts and in appellate courts across the country. I have practiced also in the Superior Court itself, filing appeals, defending appeals, and orally arguing before that court. And I've been on the other side of the bench, spending 10 years in the chambers of Christine Donahue, where I drafted over 500 decisions of the very kind I will decide when elected to that court. I've been highly recommended by the Allegheny County Bar Association to be a Superior Court judge. The State Bar Association has also recommended me for the role. I've been asked a few times recently about why I am running for the Superior Court as opposed to the Court of Common Pleas. And I've actually worked it into my speech here because I think it's really significant and something that people need to understand the differences between the courts. You know, I will say I'm not blazing any trails here. There have been some very accomplished jurists who've gone straight from practice to the Superior Court. Deborah Todd and Christine Donahue, for example, who are now on our Supreme Court, both went straight from practice to the Superior Court. Kate Ford Elliott served with distinction for nearly 40 years and took a very similar path as I did, going from working for the Superior Court to private practice and then ascending to the bench. So I am certainly following a very well-laid path here. I also have nothing but respect for Common Pleas judges. They have an extremely hard job in their own right, but it is a very different job from the Superior Court judge. Common Pleas judges are managing a courtroom, they're managing a docket, they're managing people, witnesses, victims, juries, litigants. They're managing the evidence, they're managing the facts. They're responsible for setting the facts of the case. They do rule upon the law. Largely, the rulings are in the moment. It's an objection, answer, ruling. The Superior Court really is none of that. It is a quiet, contemplative court, really with no people. It's the judges and the lawyers if there's oral argument, but generally it's just the judges and paper. It's reading, research, writing, and repeat over and over again. And you are looking at the case from about 20,000 feet through a very narrow lens to determine whether the decision is legally supportable. The facts, the witnesses, the evidence, that all occurs below. It comes up and the judges review that information and write a succinct legal opinion, deciding the case and deciding whether there was error committed below. And these are skills that I developed both as a practitioner in that court and as someone who has drafted the decisions of that court. I know the law, I know the court, I'm really passionate about the work. I thank you very, very much for your time and for this opportunity this evening. I wish all the other candidates the best of luck.
Thank you, Jill Beck. We appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Amanda Green-Hawkins. She's a candidate for judge of the PA Commonwealth Court. Amanda, if you're ready to jump in, you can unmute yourself, and we have you have 5 minutes to tell us about yourself and your campaign.
Sure, and thank you all, and good evening. I am Amanda Green-Hawkins. I live in the city of Pittsburgh with my husband and 2 children, and I've been a lawyer with the Steelworkers Union here in Pittsburgh for going on 20 years, and I am just glad to be here with you tonight. I just cherish the friendships I've developed with the women in the Federation of Democratic Women. I'm a member myself out here in Allegheny County, and I do know that it's the members of the Federation who are the rock, certainly, of the Democratic Party here in Pennsylvania. But I have been a lawyer here at the Steelworkers going on 20 years, and it makes me uniquely prepared and uniquely qualified for the work of Commonwealth Court. That's the court that handles appeals from administrative agencies here throughout Pennsylvania. And so a strong background in administrative law is going to be important for success on this court, because we're talking about appeals from agencies like the Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board, appeals from workers' compensation decisions and unemployment compensation decisions. And what workers' comp and unemployment comp are the bulk of the administrative work of the court. And there's no one on that court with the background, or extensive background at all, in labor or with the background of advocating for workers. And there's certainly a perspective that I can bring to the bench to help elevate the voices of people who need to be at the table. Their voices need to be at the table when we're talking about what justice and fairness should look like in our judicial system. I also have 20 years of experience doing voter protection work here in Pennsylvania. And we know how important our courts are for our democracy. It was certainly on full display last fall when we were getting those lawsuits from the Trump camp about how we were conducting our elections here. And I'm proud to say I was part of the legal team that was tasked with handling and addressing and strategizing around those lawsuits to make sure that our voices were heard and our votes counted. And certainly glad to be part of the team that was there when we won at the Supreme Court, and our votes did count, and we certainly turned the tide of this election here in Pennsylvania, showing everyone why we are indeed the Keystone State. But aside from all this experience, I know that you're looking for people you know who can be fair when you're looking at judicial candidates. And when you look at my background, you'll see that I worked as a mediator. I certainly had to show that fairness and impartiality when I was there as that third-party neutral, helping people resolve their disputes in a mutually agreeable way. And I certainly had to show that fairness when I worked with a Superior Court judge as well as a federal court judge, being in chambers with the judges, being mentored by them, and drafting those opinions and memoranda for them so that they can, so that I could make the proper recommendations to the judge about the way a decision should be made in a fair and in an impartial way. I'm sure you're looking for someone with integrity. And I certainly had to show that integrity when I was an elected official on Allegheny County Council, when I served on the Port Authority Board of Allegheny County, and when I served on a community task force for police reform. Integrity is an important part of public service because you need people you know who will do the right thing regardless of all the noise going on around them. And I certainly had to do that when I was on county council. I sponsored legislation in my first year of 2 terms on Allegheny County Council to prohibit discrimination against people based on their gender identity or expression. And I did that despite all the threats and all the noise going on around me about not pursuing that legislation any further. However, I did, and we did on county council. We passed that legislation. Allegheny County became one of only 3 counties in the Commonwealth to have that protection. And I'm sure you're looking for candidates with the right temperament. And temperament is so important. It's about treating people with dignity and respect. And we know that people are more likely to live with a decision, even if they disagree with it, as long as they feel they've been treated with dignity and respect, their voice is heard and valued. And that's what I intend to bring. Treating people with dignity and respect is what's in me to do. It's also at the foundation of what I do in my career as a union lawyer. And I know you're also looking for someone who's a fighter. I certainly show that fight when I do my voter protection work every year, making sure our votes count. And I also show that fight because when we're running around the state, because there are 2 seats available on Commonwealth Court. And I'm committed not just to the seat I'm running for, but to both seats on Commonwealth Court to make sure Democrats get both seats. And that 1 seat on Superior Court, as well as that 1 seat on Supreme Court. It's about the whole ticket, not just this 1 seat that I'm running for. It's about democratic values, democratic principles, and democratic values getting through to the general and onto the bench next year. So that's what I'm about. I've been rated recommended for Commonwealth Court by the Allegheny County Bar Association, and I have been rated recommended for Commonwealth Court by the Pennsylvania Bar Association. And I humbly ask you for your help and for your support to get to Commonwealth Court to represent and bring the perspectives of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Green-Hawkins, candidate for Judge of PA Commonwealth Court. Thanks for being with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
So moving right along, we will go to Cumberland County, and we've had a few people added onto the agenda since I last emailed. Our next candidate will be Michele Forbes she's a candidate for Camp Hill Borough Council. And Michele, you will have 3 minutes. So anytime you'd like to start, you can unmute yourself and tell us about yourself and your campaign.
Excuse me. First, I'd like to thank you for having me here. And just quickly, I'm running for Borough Council because, first of all, I really love Camp Hill. And I'm part of a military family where we've moved around a lot. And Camp Hill is the only place that we have come back to because we just really like how it feels and how it is to be a member of the community. But I'm running because I feel that all of the people in the community need someone to stand up for them, not just certain areas or with certain things. And I also feel that sometimes when I read what's going on in the borough, I don't always understand what it means. And I think it's important to not just be transparent, but to break everything down so that we know how it affects everyone in the borough. For instance, if something is being sold, we need to know, hey, if this gets sold, then this whole plot can go to a drive-through restaurant, which a lot of people did not know. The other thing I feel that's important is continuing with Zoom meetings so that everyone can continue and be a part of it, because a lot of people do not get to attend the meetings. And I feel that everyone really needs to be able to say what they feel is important. Prior to being married, I was an auditor. And what we did was we audited municipalities, townships, boroughs, and I understand the money part of it. So I understand where it starts and where it should end up. And I want everyone to also realize that we're spending the money wisely. So between my volunteering as liaison, working with the military, I volunteer for most things that are going on in the borough. I feel that I've worked a lot with people and bringing them together and solving issues. So I'd like to bring that to the table. I think that's about it. And thanks for having me here. And I'm looking forward to getting to know more about the other candidates.
Thanks, Michele. Thanks for joining us this evening. All right, our next candidate is also a candidate for Camp Hill Borough Council, Jennifer Hoover. Jennifer, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us, hosting this event tonight. I would say first, I am also as you mentioned, a candidate for Camp Hill Borough Council, for which 4 seats are open. Camp Hill Borough is about 2 square miles wide and incorporates about, I think, roughly or so 8,000 households. And for the last 4 to 5 years, I've been committed to attending council meetings and committee meetings. And through that process, they were able to open their committee meetings to the public, and that really provided a lot of opportunity for residents to participate and become more knowledgeable about the happenings in our local government. But it was, the potential development of a corner here nearby my home that really generated my interest in realization how important local government is to our community, to our neighbors, to our children. And for that reason, I previously ran before and am running again. In addition to being a resident, I'm a homeowner, as I mentioned, and also a mother of 2 boys who are enrolled in the school district. Throughout my time as a resident, I've been passionate about helping my residents, neighbors succeed in influencing decisions, whether it's redevelopment or assisting with local organizations such as the Lion Foundation, of which I was a board member for 3 years, but ensuring that they can feel confident to drive change and action within our community and standing up for their safety and welfare. And I believe that, there's been some inaction or lack of attention to residents' concerns and interests, perhaps. And I fully believe that council, and I'm committed to acting on behalf of our residents and working hard to ensure that our borough is financially resilient and resource conscious. I'm increasingly concerned, fellow candidate Michele brought up finances, but I'm increasingly concerned about the level of savings that we're drawing down, and potentially in 8 to 10 years, we may not have any. So I think that is of great concern, and residents need to be informed about and involved in. But additionally, smart zoning and development that encourages public transit and walking and biking in our walking and biking friendly borough is critical to sustaining our local neighborhood connection. And fortunately, some of that has changed recently with some intensity, but I think as a candidate in our council moving forward, it's making sure that such action occurs with consistency. As far as background, I have a master's and bachelor's degree both in public policy, law, and legal studies. And the skills that I've learned through my academic as well as professional career as a government relations and public affairs professional, I think will benefit our borough's long-term success.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Next, we have Emily Smith, Camp Hill Borough Council.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm happy to see so many women running for so many different offices. It's really inspiring. As was said, I'm also running for Camp Hill Borough Council. I grew up in Camp Hill and graduated from Camp Hill High School, and I moved away for many years and came back to raise my family in Camp Hill because it's that kind of town. The main reasons that I'm running are because there are some things that are missing in our town right now. One is a transparency and communication between government and all of the citizens, which I know my fellow candidates have also said. And a big thing for me is equal access and representation for all of the members of the community. In our town, we have lots of little tiny neighborhoods, and some of them get a lot more access to services and get a lot more information about what's going on, get their sewers fixed, stuff like that, than some other neighborhoods. I grew up in one of those forgotten neighborhoods that's on the wrong side of the bypass in Camp Hill. And so I want to make sure that people that don't live in the fanciest places in Camp Hill also have access to the same services as those who, you know, live where everyone wants to live in Camp Hill. I think there's a lot of great neighborhoods and we all need equal access and services. And my background is in graphic design, but I'm also a real estate agent. So I've had my own graphic design business for like 15 years. And then I've been a real estate agent for 5. And the combination of all of the jobs I've done throughout my lifetime have led me to be a creative problem solver. I look at things through the lens of what am I fixing? How do I solve this problem? And I'd like to bring that to Borough Council so that we can find out what everyone actually wants and needs, and then figure out the best solutions to move forward with buy-in from everyone in the entire community, not just a few people making the big decisions that we all need to make. I also have a kid in school. I have a daughter, she's in 6th grade, and I'd like to see this community stay the way it is, walking, biking. We just went for a bike ride right before this meeting, and I rode by Jennifer Hoover's house because it's on my route. But, you know, I'd love to keep it that way, and I want to make sure that everyone has all of the things that keep Camp Hill nice and make it equally good for everyone in town. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate participating.
Thank you very much. Emily Smith, Camp Hill Borough Council. Thanks for being with us this evening. Next, we have, we're moving on to the Camp Hill School Director. We have 2 of those candidates. The first one is Josceylon Buchs. And please correct me if I mispronounced your name.
Yes, it commonly happens. It's actually Buchs, like a book, which is fun in running for school board here. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time here tonight. I just want to, by way of background, introduce myself. I'm a long-term resident of Camp Hill. I've lived in the borough for 18 years, all my life in central Pennsylvania. And I have 3 children in the district that range from 1st grade to 6th grade to 9th grade. So I've had quite the perspective this past year on their experiences. My bachelor's is in psychology. I went back to school and got my teaching certification in elementary education through Wilson College in my 20s and taught for a few years in the public schools, but ultimately ended up in human resources in a healthcare company where I've been for the past 20 years and currently serve as Vice President of Talent Development, so doing training and leadership development work. And last year I completed my master's in business administration. And so at my core, I am definitely an educator and a learner at heart. And so I view running for school board as a unique opportunity for me to apply both my professional and personal experience and service to my community. I know this past year has been extremely challenging for our communities and the schools that serve them, and it moves beyond COVID, although COVID obviously was a huge hurdle and will continue to be in some form here moving forward. And I've had to encounter some of these same challenges in my work in healthcare and human resources, really difficult conversations, challenging situations, fears around safety, and not just physical, but psychological safety as well. Much of my professional work in healthcare has been in an attempt to do what is best for the people that take care of people. And I hope to be able to apply that in helping to support our schools, teachers, and administrators in their work of taking care of our children and their academic needs, in addition to their social and emotional well-being, which COVID certainly has tested. We have some catching up to do. So with some of our students, there will need to be focus on that and on closing the gaps that exist. Ongoing advances in the use of technology in our schools is a good thing, and I think that that must continue, certainly as we look towards the fall and what going back to school next year looks like. A remaining focus on safety, providing a safe environment for our teachers, support staff, administrators, and students will be important. And lastly, making sure that we address the diversity, equity, and inclusivity needs of our community in our schools as we move forward, I believe to be critically important. So as a candidate for school board, I know the importance of being able to work collaboratively, to learn from others, and to apply the information gathered in order to make well-informed decisions. I've been doing that my entire career. And I understand the need to be an effective communicator and to support strong, respectful communication between our board, the community, and our schools. And last but not least, I expect to do a lot of listening, hopefully as a board member, to the concerns of the community, the teachers, the administration. I certainly hear it from my children. And to be an advocate first and foremost in providing every student in the Campbell schools the opportunity to grow and achieve an excellent public education, providing them with the foundational skills, knowledge, and opportunities for lifelong success.
Thank you, Josceylon.
Yeah, thank you. I was all done. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jocelyn Buchs, for Camp Hill School Director. And our next candidate is Melanie. And Melanie, you're going to have to correct me if I mispronounce your name. Gurgiolo for Camp Hill
Very
School
close.
Director. Okay.
My mom says good jello, like you eat. But my father-in-law would say Gurgiolo, who's the Italian. So anyways, good evening. My name is Melanie Gurgiolo, and I am running for re-election for a seat on the Camp Hill School Board. And I also, along with the others, want to thank Jody and the Tri-County Federation of Democratic Women for hosting this event. I do have 3 children, and 2 have graduated from Camp Hill and gone on and have enjoyed their time in the district. And I do have a 6th grader coming up also. And because of that, I've attended many school board meetings prior to being on the board and 4 years ago. So I had an idea of the type of issues that came before the board, as well as the passion of those issues that they could generate. However, after serving on the board for 4 years, I now fully understand the responsibility, the hard work, the passion, the dedication that is involved. And I'm more than willing to do that again. I'm actually excited and hopeful. I feel that I can contribute my efforts as well as my perspective on issues as a taxpayer, as a parent, as an educator, and I want to help the district to continue to provide the value for taxpayers and an excellent education for students and families, no matter what challenges the future may hold. And thank you, and best of luck to all the candidates in the primary next month.
Thank you very much, Melanie. All right, next we have Joan Erney, who's a candidate for New Cumberland mayor.
Good evening. I'm Joan Erney, and this is my first candidacy for anything. I am running for mayor of New Cumberland. I'm excited about the opportunity for potential change here in this community. I grew up here. I came back. I left. I came back to raise my son, and most recently, I came back full-time to retire. I am still doing some consulting, but for the most part, I'm looking forward to this next chapter. My background is all in public sector. I worked in behavioral health for both local, state, and federal governments. So have really committed my career in that regard. I was an appointment under Governor Rendell as the Deputy Secretary for Mental Health and Substance Use. And most recently, I was the CEO of Community Behavioral Health, which was the Medicaid agency for Philadelphia that was responsible for 700,000 Medicaid lives, providing behavioral health services. So I believe that my background in leadership and vision and strategy really well positions me for making a change here in New Cumberland. We're a small community. We have about 3,400 households. We are a community that is really been almost overwhelmingly Republican for many years. It's been relatively conservative, I would say actually mostly conservative. And so there's many opportunities for change. We had a group of young people who are really moving the charge for diversity. We are having changing demographics. We have younger people moving in. And so they have different expectations around communication, around transparency, and around active participation in their government. And so there's lots of opportunity here to do, I think, important work and set a vision and tone and be a representative of a community that really is on the move to change. So really thank the Federation. It's very cool to be with all these Democratic women. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from the rest of the candidates. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan Erney for New Cumberland Mayor. And our final candidate this evening for Cumberland County is Karen Overly Smith, and she is a candidate for Upper Allen Township Commissioner.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I thank you for the opportunity to be on the forum this evening. Again, my name's Karen Overly Smith, and I'm campaigning for the Upper Allen Township Commissioner position. There's 2 openings, and there's 2 incumbents that will be running that are Republican. My background in education is in regional planning. I have had a municipal government office in Southern Lancaster County that served 12 municipalities in the past with zoning and land use development. And most of my career was spent with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the Department of Community and Economic Development, working on federal community development programs. We all worked last year in 2020 very hard on those campaigns. It was hard fought. And I think there's opportunity for Democratic candidates and women for continuing in 2021. I think we should take advantage of this opportunity. And I was asked to run. I moved into Upper Allen Township in the last 2 years at Messiah Village, and I'm really happy to live here. And this is a township of the first class, and they're highly developed. I think there's strong support for a new candidate to be running as opposed to the incumbents. I have a lot of background in municipal and state and housing development programs and things, and sewer. I'm interested in infrastructure development, and I served 8 years on a sewage facility, Suburban Lancaster Sewer Authority. So I'm ready to run. There was a lot of training that was available for new candidates, and I took advantage of that with the Ready to Run PA program. And we're developing a very strong Democratic club here in Mechanicsburg and Upper Allen Township. They're very supportive, and they provided the encouragement to run. So I'm a first-time candidate as well. And for anybody living in Upper Allen Township, I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen Overly Smith, candidate for Upper Allen Township Commissioner. Okay, next we're going to move along to Dauphin County candidates. The first Dauphin County candidate on our agenda is LaTasha Williams, and she's a candidate for Dauphin County Court of Common Pleas. LaTasha?
Hi, ladies. Thank you all so much. It's my pleasure to be here I am LaTasha Williams, and I am running to be the first African-American woman to serve on the Dauphin County Court of Common Pleas. By way of background, I am an attorney. I am a prosecutor in York County, but I am a resident of Dauphin County. I've lived in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania for 13 years. And my journey here in Dauphin County started by way of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I came to Dauphin County to work for then State Representative Harold James to serve as his legislative research analyst. Prior to that, I'd earned my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in criminal justice and criminal justice administration, and had worked in early intervention, working with developmentally delayed children in the birth to 3 age group. And then I taught Spanish to high school students in West Philadelphia. And then I came to Harrisburg to work for State Rep Harold James. And I'd always done prison reform work, prison advocacy, specifically helping people who I believe were wrongly convicted. I began that work in Philadelphia, and that work carried over when I moved to Harrisburg. And so I was working for the legislature, helping to draft legislation. One piece of legislation that I'm most proud of is a bill that I helped to draft that required the Pennsylvania State Police to test untested rape kits from sexual assault cases. So I'm very proud of that. And then I went on to enroll at law school. So I'm a graduate of Widener University Commonwealth Law School in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And after law school, I clerked for Judge Maria Musty Cook, who I'm proud to say also made history as the first woman president judge in York County. And like I said, throughout all of that, I continued helping people wrongly convicted, and I'm proud of that work because it did result in the reversal of several convictions of people who were wrongly convicted or unjustly sentenced. And so I want to bring and ensure equity on the bench. Currently, the full complement of the court consists of 10 judges. There are currently 9. The seat that I'm running for was vacated by Judge Janine Turgeon. So there are currently 8 men on the bench and 1 woman. And so I feel that a woman should replace the woman who left the seat vacant. I am the endorsed candidate by our Dauphin County Democratic Committee. And so I thank you all in advance for your support, and thank you so much for having me here tonight.
Thank you, LaTasha Williams for Dauphin County Court of Common Pleas. Have a good evening. Next on the agenda is Marianne Urrutia, and she's running for Magisterial District Justice in 12-101, which encompasses Susquehanna Township and Pembroke. Marianne?
Hello. Hi, I am Marianne Urrutia, and I'm running for Magisterial District Judge, serving Susquehanna Township and Pembroke Borough. I'm running for change. I want to represent the landscape of my diverse community and provide fair and equal justice for all. What made me decide to run for this position was an outcry from my residents of my community who complained of the unfairness when it came to dealing with the justice system. They complained of disproportions in positions of authority, racial disparities, the disrespect and profile received when dealing with the justice system. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. The magisterial court is most people's first encounter with the justice system. I am not afraid to be different, and I will do what's right. Judges make life-changing decisions. My 26 years experience in criminal justice corrections gives me the ability to be a principled advocate by exercising fair judgment with respect and dignity to all. As a magisterial judge, I would work hard to unite the community by being reasonable and relatable. I want everyone who would enter my courtroom to be treated with decency and respect, regardless of their charges, their race, gender, or economic status. I want to create an unbiased atmosphere to receive a more positive viewpoint of the justice system. I don't want anyone to ever come to my courtroom already feeling defeated. As magisterial judge, I will seek the truth based on fact while adhering to the rules and policy of law. Each person that comes before me will have the opportunity to air their grievances as well as defend themselves. I understand that balancing two parties can be challenging because someone always walks away feeling like they received the short end of the stick. But as magisterial judge, that will not be the case. Everyone will receive a fair shake. Everyone's voice will be heard. I will do my best to review all the evidence presented by all parties, and I will make a fair and impartial decision based on the information presented in the law. With your help, it can be done. We need representation, fairness, decency, and respect in our judicial system. And I'm the candidate to bring the necessary change. Thank you all very much for your time, and I wish all you ladies the best.
Thank you, Mary Ann Urrutia for Magisterial District Justice, Susquehanna Township and Pembroke. Our next candidate is, we're moving on to Derry Township School Board, and the candidate listed first is Melinda Curran.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight and giving me a chance to speak. My name is Melinda Curran. I am running for Derry Township School Board. It's something that I've been considering for several years, but I had young children and they're a little bit older now, so I decided it was the right time. I have a degree in elementary education that I received from University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I've spent over a decade in classrooms around the country. I taught in fourth grade in Phoenix, Arizona, third and fourth grade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I was a family involvement coordinator here in the central Pennsylvania region. In addition to teaching, I have experience developing curriculum and writing assessments. I've spent time serving the communities that I have lived in by leading Girl Scout troops, coaching my children's sports teams, and I'm currently serving my third year as citizen advisor to Derry Township School District. And I've participated as a community representative in the development of their district comprehensive plan. I'm passionate about education and its ability to influence children and communities and the future. I have two children. My daughter will be entering fifth grade and my son entering kindergarten next year. So I have a vested interest in the district and the success of the district. My knowledge and experience of a variety of school systems around the country gives me a unique perspective to advocate for progress and solve problems as they arise. I have been in small districts of 4 schools and also in districts that have 60 schools. So I can see different perspectives pretty easily. As the pandemic has had unprecedented effect on our communities, families, and schools, I'm going to work hard to allocate resources to staff and students to address social and emotional concerns, along with the learning lag experienced by many students. I will advocate for policies that encourage belonging and inclusiveness for all students. I believe strongly in clear communication and having the community involved in decisions about their students' education. And I will work to ensure that the district is prepared for upcoming development in the township that may cause an increase in the school population. I'm committed to working hard. I'm dedicated to serving the community, and I'm willing to collaborate with board members, administration, staff, and the community to ensure the success of our students. And I appreciate you letting me speak this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Melinda Curran, candidate for Derry Township School Board. Next, we have Gerline Leroy, Derry Township School Board candidate.
Good evening, everyone. I'm actually speaking to you guys from my car. because I'm waiting for my son. He's at Tangsudo. So, and you all you ladies know that as women, we have to multitask. So that's what I'm doing. I'm running for school board because I believe in the power of education. Just talking briefly about my background, I was originally born and raised in Haiti. I moved to French Guiana, and from there I went to France, where I received a master's degree in clinical psychology and psychopathology. I then moved to the United States, where I received my Juris Doctorate and became an attorney. Currently, I work for the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission as the Director of Policy and Intergovernmental Affairs, and I also lead the mediation program. As far as children, I have a daughter. She's 19 years old, and she goes to University of Pennsylvania Law School, where she will graduate 2 or 3 days shy of her 22nd birthday. So it's quite a great accomplishment. And I have a son, he's 12 years old, and he's a 7th grader at Derry Township at Hershey Middle School. I'm sorry. So I do have stake in what goes on at the district level. I've been serving as citizen advisor at the curriculum council, and many years as far as education. I worked for several years, at least 7 years, as a behavior specialist consultant and mobile therapist, advocating for students in the classrooms and being a liaison between parents, teachers, and administrators. I also went and testified on behalf of those students so that their circumstances can be taken in consideration as they were being sentenced for minor infractions. My commitment to education stems from experiencing firsthand the power of education. Coming from Haiti, we do not have access to compulsory public education. Everyone has to pay for education, and it's not well regulated.
Thank you,
Therefore,
Gurleen.
the education we see. Thank you.
Gurleen Leroy, candidate for Derry Township School Board. Next, we're moving on to the races in Harrisburg, the city of Harrisburg. And we have Shemaine Daniels, Harrisburg City Council. She's a current member of Harrisburg City Council and a candidate.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I'm so excited to see so many female candidates. And from what I've been counting, we have 3 immigrant candidates. So that's really exciting for the region. My name is Shemaine Daniels. I'm in my 2nd term for Harrisburg City Council. For the period I've been on council, I've been either chair of the Building and Housing Committee or chair of the Parks and Recreation Committee. And under both of those committees, I've been able to accomplish quite a few things. Under the Building and Housing, I created a foreclosure registry. I also doubled the fines for some properties that are owned corporately. And under Parks and Recreation, I managed a youth commission and worked closely with Impact Harrisburg to develop the COVID-19 package that the city came up with last year, as well as wasn't successful, but tried to adjust some of our youth programming so that they could be turn into investments in our youth at a time when we were seeing significant divestments across the globe from anything that wasn't medical. So my background is I am an immigration attorney, and I also am an instructor for the Women's and Gender Studies for New Jersey City University. And that those two kind of professional backgrounds are the lens I tend to use to look at the issues that come forward to the city. If you've heard me in the past or on the council meetings, you know, I do try to address a lot of issues regarding accessibility to city services, equity, you know, and particularly as an employer, you know, trying to make sure that we are paying our employees equal pay for equal work. So, you know, I strongly believe that our budgets are the way in which we reflect our values as employers and as service providers. So I'm basically asking for a third term because there are a few things I would still like to see progress. I would like our city to be much more inclusive and much more accessible to everyone. You know, COVID-19 really changed or opened our eyes to really understand how deep the inequities that cut across our country are, and those inequities are here in Harrisburg as well. And I would like to continue to do the work to make sure that our city is accountable to our residents, that we are providing services equitably across the board, that we're being fair employers, and that, you know, we are ethical in the way in which we run our business. So I would hope that you would support me or ask your friends to support me. And before I finish, I do want to encourage all of you to support our judicial candidates after the primary, because as we'll see based on the Chauvin verdict today, it's going to be a judge that decides what the sentencing looks like. So our judges are really, really important seats that aren't really cool or popular, but please take a look at those races after the primary. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shemaine Daniels, candidate for Harrisburg City Council. Our next candidate for Harrisburg City Council is Crystal Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Federation for Democratic Women for inviting me tonight. Thank all of you for being here. My name is Crystal Davis. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Harrisburg. I was born and raised here. I graduated from William Penn Votech, which is in the Uptown area of Harrisburg. From there, I went to serve my country. I served 6 years in the United States Army as an air traffic controller, and I served during the Desert Storm War era. When I came out of the military, I came back to Harrisburg to further my education, and I became a nurse. So currently I am a licensed nurse, and I've been working in the nursing field since I was discharged from the military. I love working as a nurse because I care for people. I've done a lot of things in the city of Harrisburg. The other venture I completed was I invested in 2 blighted properties. I revitalized those properties to increase the value of the other homes in the neighborhoods that those properties were in. I founded a home care agency here about 9 years ago, founder and CEO of At Home Personal Care. So I've been working in the medical field, and I'm your frontline worker. During COVID-19, I was the nurse and my staff going into the homes of our veterans, our seniors, anyone who was on my caseload that was physically and mentally challenged. We had to care for them. And it was my passion, and it still is my passion. You know, people needed to continue to receive their medications. Some of them were paraplegics. They couldn't get out of bed. So I basically took instructions from the CDC, and I went ahead and cared for my community, and I served my community. I'm very grateful to be here tonight. I want to take my servanthood to another level and serve the citizens of Harrisburg. The reason why I want to serve the citizens of Harrisburg is because last year, like everyone else, COVID did, expose a lot of the inequities here in the city. And my community personally had a void here, and I felt like I needed to step in and provide some leadership to help my neighbors, my friends, my family. So I'm here. I am endorsed by the Democratic Committee, and I'm number 13 on the ballot. Again, I'm Crystal Davis, and I would appreciate your support on May 18th for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Davis, candidate for Harrisburg City Council. Our next candidate is Sarah Geathers, and she is a candidate for Harrisburg City Council as well. Sarah?
Thank you to the Tri-County Federation of Democratic Women for allowing me the time to speak today. My name is Sarah Geathers, and I believe I am the change that Harrisburg is in need of. I'm a person who impacts whatever community I may reside in. I hear the cry of the people and respond with action. I won't stop at discouragement or hearing that that's never been done before. Instead, I fight for what's right and exhaust any and all possibilities in order to do so. Any issue is worth battling for if it means making my community better and ensuring they are being heard. I plan to empower, equip, and engage the citizens of Harrisburg to take control of their lives and their city. My goal is to make Harrisburg synonymous with transparency and progress. I want to move our city forward with people-focused and honest agendas that create practical and meaningful change. I believe I can address problems in Harrisburg with a unique and fresh perspective. I want to affect a myriad of challenges, some as simple as parking legislation to issues as complex as developing our future generations. I want to help empower our families, whether that looks like getting a response from the police when there are gunshots whizzing through their homes, or making sure that they aren't dishing out hundreds of dollars for parking violations in spaces they pay taxes for and have a permit to park in. I want to equip businesses, nonprofits, and young visionaries with the tools of success in running a business, owning homes, and being financially stable. I want to engage the youth in our community because they need our attention the most. It's time for the robust programs Harrisburg once had to offer to become the norm again. I want to be the voice of the people and fight on our behalf once in office, because the only way to truly move Harrisburg forward is together. I've seen people take local elections lightly. Others have become very complacent with the status quo. We can't allow stagnation to happen, because then change won't happen. I believe democracy at its finest is when we hold the government accountable and make sure they cater to the people. And I'm more than ready to do that for the city of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Geathers, candidate for Harrisburg City Council. Our next candidate is Asha Green for Harrisburg City Council.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Federation for inviting me tonight and allowing me to introduce myself. My name is Harrisburg City Councilwoman Asha Green, and before I go into my campaign, I just want to take a little time to introduce myself. I'm born and raised in the city of Harrisburg, a proud product of the Harrisburg School District. I graduated from SciTech High School. I then went on to Shippensburg University, where I received my bachelor's in international studies and political science. And I went on to get my master's from Shippensburg University in public administration. I am a former member of the Harrisburg School Board, and I've been on Harrisburg City Council since 2007 as the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Outside of my role as a member of Harrisburg City Council, I am a regional youth program manager, providing youth in the region with career opportunities and short-term trainings. I am also a member of the Harrisburg Planning Commission since my appointment in 2015. And during my spare time, I enjoy volunteering at a food pantry that was started by my mother several years ago. As a member of Harrisburg City Council, I've promoted fiscal responsibility, public transparency, and advocated for the needed changes in the city of Harrisburg. I fought to listen and incorporate the voices of the citizens of Harrisburg, especially during the creation of a bill that created a police advisory committee for the city of Harrisburg. I've also worked to increase affordable and accessible housing for city residents. I understand the importance of bringing resources into the city while providing for the needs of the Harrisburg residents. If reelected in my second term, I plan to continue to fight to address the longstanding issues facing the city, such as affordable housing, making government more accessible to the community at large, and investing in all of Harrisburg. As I see it, Harrisburg is at a crucial moment and we have to make for sure that we don't leave the people in Harrisburg behind as we continue to move forward. We need someone in office that's passionate about building the residents of Harrisburg, and I am that candidate. I have the experience from being a current member of Harrisburg City Council, as well as the passion of a lifelong resident, lifelong Democrat, and an active member of Harrisburg. I ask for your support on May 18th, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Asha Green, candidate for Harrisburg City Council. All right, we'll move on to the next candidate on the list, Jenny Jenkins. She's a candidate also for Harrisburg City Council. Jenny?
Hi, I'm Jenny Jenkins Dallas. I'm running for Harrisburg City Council. And thank you so much for providing this platform for us today. And I just want to say I'm so proud of all the women that I've already heard. Just so much talent out there. So thank you for running. And, you know, together we're going to change Pennsylvania. As you know, or might not know, you know, Pennsylvania is number 5 for the worst state to be a woman in politics. And we're changing that. We are changing that. The people involved running for office is changing that in this federation. So I just want to say thank you for being a part. Just a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in business from Elizabethtown College. I have 3 children. They're all adults. I have one 6-year-old granddaughter. And I wanted to let you know that I also, my husband and I have a church in Harrisburg. So I'm a woman of faith and used to being in leadership in all these roles. One of the, as far as my involvement in the community, amongst many things, I am the vice president of Estamos Unidos de Pennsylvania, and that is an organization that provides scholarships for students. And the other organization is the Latino Hispanic Professionals Association. I'm also the vice president of that organization. And it's just an organization that brings Latino professionals together to learn from each other. I have, you know, a background in law enforcement, and that's sort of what makes my candidacy unique, because I have that institutional knowledge that that really can make a difference, especially with our day and age. There's changes that need to be made. We all know that, and no better than somebody that has been a part of that institution that knows what changes that could be made. So that's a very important part of my candidacy. And also home ownership is very important to me as a candidate. And our city has 27% homeowners. We just have so much room for growth, and those are measurable goals that we can achieve. So that's another platform that I'm very passionate about. I've been endorsed by the AFL-CIO, the plumbers and pipe fitters, roofers, steel workers. They've all showed support for my campaign. So I'm definitely for the people, always for the people and for the workers.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Jenny Jenkins, candidate for Harrisburg City Council. Okay, our next candidate is Jamie Johnson, candidate for Harrisburg School Board.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am proud to be a member of the Tri-County Federation for a number of years now. I'm also remaining involved in different community organizations and nonprofits. So a little background on me. A longtime resident of Harrisburg for 12 years now. I'm originally from Carlisle, PA. My mother was in the military for 20 years. She retired at the Carlisle Barracks in Carlisle. So I did grow up in Carlisle. I went to Commonwealth Valley High School and I came to Harrisburg. I studied at HAC and I came to Harrisburg for Penn State Harrisburg when I attended there and studied there for psychology, sociology, and child development. So I also am a proud union member. When I was employed at the city for 5 years, I helped develop and implement the 311 system. And I also served on both the executive board of the Dauphin County Young Democrats and the Capital Region Stonewall Democrats. Again, I'm an active member here in this group, and some things that why I'm running for school board. I'm running for Harrisburg City School Board. And I'm running to just make a difference. We all know that our schools here in the district could use some help, to say the least. And I want to do my part to competent, working, collaborative board, and work with the board as well as city and county officials and state officials who just things like focus on financial stability, allocation of equitable funding for our schools, and promote direct engagement with the students and the parents and the teachers, and also focus on mental health. Of course, with my background, mental health is at the forefront. I mean, we're seeing a lot of things in the news. We're seeing a lot of things in the city happening. Our students are experiencing, just a lot of adverse experiences and trauma. And I want to definitely put a huge focus on mental health and increase direct resources, for mentor and tutoring opportunities, and just improve access, improve, our proficiency rate, hopefully, and, continue to facilitate positive partnerships. One thing the school district is doing right now, we're in receivership. So there may be nothing immediately I'm able to do until we're out of receivership, but build the competent working board. But we are also looking to, the school district is looking to hire a new superintendent. That's very important. We want to make sure that superintendent is highly qualified, that the community has some input in that as well. So, I'm just going to keep it short and brief, that I hope that, everyone in Harrisburg City would have your support and have your vote on May 18th for the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Johnson, candidate for Harrisburg City School Board. Our next candidate is Danielle Robinson, and she's also a candidate for Harrisburg City School Board. Danielle?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, first I want to thank you all for having this forum. This is actually wonderful. I love seeing all the women here. A little background on me. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. After graduation, I went to Bloomsburg studying communication disorders and sign language interpreting. Moved to Harrisburg in 1995. Sorry. And my husband is a teacher. We've been married 26 years this year, and he's a 6th grade math and science teacher. I went back to school when I discovered that I was actually a computer nerd, and got my degree in computer network systems, computer network administration, and a bachelor's in computer network security with a specialty in computer forensics. I've also worked with the Commonwealth as an independent contractor at the Department of Welfare, the Department of Treasury, and the Department of Environmental Protection. Back in 2012, I put in for an open seat for the Harrisburg School District, mainly because I was really dissatisfied with a lot of things that were happening. And since that appointment, I have fought for better treatment of district employees, educational resources for our students, and advocated on the local, state, and federal level for equitable funding. I've gone to DC many times speaking with our legislature on the Hill. We also helped to eliminate a $22 million deficit while we were building a $34 million fund balance in the district. Collaborated with local businesses and community organizations to provide the career pathways for our district students. Implemented the Cougar Academy, the Roar Academy, partnerships with Dauphin County Technical School and the Harrisburg Public Schools Foundation. We also helped to reestablish full-day kindergarten and 100% free and reduced meal lunches for our students. I also serve as a band booster for our Harrisburg Marching Band. My daughter was a member of the band, and once she graduated, I decided to stay. And with our amazing booster volunteers, We, work the concession stand, do fundraisers, and just make sure that our students are enjoy being teenagers. And we just work as a support system for them. I've also served as judge of election and encouraging young people to vote and become more involved in the democratic process. With the Dauphin County Bureau of Elections and the school district, we've gotten our students involved in voter registration, civics exercises, and working our polling stations. I'm actually only one of 2 board members with a child here in the district. So my goal at first was to advocate for my son, but I know that now all of our children benefit. Moving forward, I just want to continue to advocate for our teachers, raise the academic standards of our students in our district, and hopefully get your support on May 18th. And one quote that came to mind was, "When change comes, it'll be because of the women." And I truly believe that, and seeing this group here definitely gives me hope. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Danielle Robinson, candidate for Harrisburg City School Board. And I'd like to just go back to 2 candidates and see if they've dialed in. Dr. Anju Singh for Dauphin County Prothonotary and Lavette Henderson for Harrisburg City Council. Okay. All right. So thanks everyone for joining us this evening. To say I'm impressed is an understatement by the quality of the candidates we have here tonight. I'm really blown away. You guys are all awesome. And as many of you said, it's wonderful to see so many women in one place, working towards the betterment of our society, basically. And I just jotted down a few things as I'm listening to you all talk about your background and who you are. We have women who were veteran, mom, attorney, nurse, realtor, law enforcement, computer nerd. The diversity amongst the group is amazing, and to have this many female candidates from such a small area is really impressive. So thank you for being here. Many of you are members, as you mentioned. If you're not a member and you'd like to join us, you're welcome to. And that goes for the people on Facebook as watching as well. You can find more information on our Facebook page or at Tri-County FDW. So we were just hoping to give all of you a platform to get the word out, and hopefully that's been successful. And as I mentioned, we don't endorse candidates in the primary, but we certainly wish all of you good luck. And please keep in touch with us, and we hope to be a resource for all of you as well. So we're going to sign off the Facebook portion of the event. Again, thanks for all those on Facebook who were watching, and hopefully you got some good information about candidates that you can vote for as well. Thank you, and have a good evening.